We start in Nigeria, where more details have been emerging over the ISIL militant group's growing presence in the country. Nigerian secret police say they've broken up so-called syndicates affiliated to the group in 9 states, including Abuja. Boko Haram militants some months ago declared themselves loyal to ISIL. The Department of State Security also says it arrested a suspected major recruiter for ISIL. The man was apparently getting ready to join an ISIL training camp in Libya, along with other Nigerians he had recruited. Let's get you more now on that story. I'm joined live from Abuja by CCTV Sophia Dengo. Sophia, what more can you tell us about these syndicates? What else did the Department of State Security say?
Well, state security authorities confirming the arrest of a young man who happened to be a university student in the northern state of Kano. Now, Abdul Salam Yunusu, who was, part of this syndicate recruiter who happened to be approaching these students in the bid to pledge their allegiance to ISIL and also, secretly move some of his recruits out of Nigeria. This follows upon syndicates that were also discovered in the northwestern states of Katsina, and also uncovering other syndicates that have been discovered around the country. What makes these discoveries so eye-opening really is the fact that, typically militant activity has been designated to much of the Northeast. But in this case, you see, relevant evidence to prove that terror cells are expanding beyond the northeastern part of the country, and indeed these pockets existing much around the country. Penina.
So syndicates in 9 different states, including Abuja. Just how concerned are authorities over the influence of ISIL in Nigeria?
Well, Penina, as you know, ISIL has extended its recruitment, efforts onto online radical platforms. And with a population of almost 50 to 55% of Nigeria's Muslim community, it is indeed concerning for Nigerian authorities. Because, as you know, these platforms showcase what is a typical ideology of Sharia law, which appeals to very young, impressionable, Muslims, especially as in the Northeast, as we have seen in the case of this young man in Kano and others that follow. It is typical that oftentimes these sites are brought down, but what makes it so concerning for Nigeria is Boko Haram was very much in line with this sort of propagating of ideology, with them opening up what they call a public enlightenment department, in which they would post a violent video and also pushing this radical agenda. And so, of course, it is concerning, especially now that Boko Haram has not only pledged their direct allegiance to the Islamic State, but also formed some kind of regional chapter that directly gains not only their ideological, paraphernalia, but also propagates the violence of which we have seen systematically in the last 6 years. Penina.
Yeah, these are obviously very disturbing developments, Sophie. What's been the reaction from ordinary Nigerians there in Abuja and even beyond?
Well, it's interesting. From the authorities' point of view, a lot of Nigerians are really, lauding the efforts of the Nigerian authorities, especially the military, in promoting this, intelligence gathering, posting flyers of people's names who are purported to be linked to some kind of terror cell, or if not, the overall group of Boko Haram. But going also a step further, if you speak to Muslim clerics, some would argue that, the push of Islamic radicalism is not such a bad idea, that indeed Sharia law should rule not only here in Nigeria, but all over the world. Of course, distancing themselves with the typical violent behavior that comes along with these ideologies. But also, lastly, Nigeria has been unique in the past with having, a 50% Christian community, a 50% Muslim community, and really living side by side in the past, where you have Muslims and Christians coexisting. But as you see, the tide has really changed, and many Nigerians are not necessarily looking at that as a positive reflection of what their country really upholds in terms of respect for religion. Penina.
All right, Sophia Jungle Life there for us in Abuja. Many thanks, Sophia.